Today is January 26th, 2005, and we are going to ask this woman sitting here some questions about the Dirty 30s for Alex Brown's paper. What is your full name, ma'am?
Well, my full name is Margaret S. Smith Sauer.
Okay. How old are you today?
I'm 87. Or 85.
85.
I don't know why I went to rush that. I'm gone.
85.
Yes.
Where do you live today?
I live at Cedar View Nursing Home,
In what town?
Hayes, Kansas.
Hayes, Kansas. And then what jobs did you hold during your working years?
Well, at first, I started out, I had a beauty shop training in 38 to be the beauty operator.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't like that so well, so I liked the restaurant business. I went over and got me a dishwasher job.
Yeah.
And I started from there on up. And later on, I owned my own cafe.
Where was that at?
That was at Cimarron, Kansas.
Uh-huh. How many years did you do that?
Well, almost 20 years.
20.
I sold it a couple times, but I always had to take it back. And after I'd even quit the last time, in 84, they were still after me to run that restaurant, and I could not do it.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
What did you do before your hairdressing days? Weren't you a nanny?
Well, yes, we lived out on the farm,
Mm-hmm.
and I helped some ladies in the neighborhood. And when I was finishing high school, I worked for Mrs. Garrison. She fed a lot of people, and we had a room there, and that's where I helped her when I wasn't in school.
Yeah. What about in Wichita?
What?
In Wichita?
In Wichita, when my husband and I got married, let's see, 1940,
Uh-huh.
we went to Wichita, and we only had $25 between us. I thought we were going to starve, but we were from poor people. And so when we went to Wichita, we got us an apartment there for $12 a month. And we thought we was going to be chivalries, you know, they always had big chivalries. And so we bought a box of candy bars and a box of cigars. Well, I ate the candy bars and my husband smoked the cigars. And I walked and tried to find places to work. And that was a real hard job to find a place at that time, in those years, to find a job. My husband worked at a rest home way out on the outskirts of Wichita, and I got a job taking care of a little boy through psychology. If I hadn't had psychology in school, I wouldn't have got the job.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I made $5 a week.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't make much more. We got to see each other one day a week.
Now you got to graduate from high school, right? But Grandpa didn't.
Yes, I graduated in 38.
1938.
37, 38.
Mm-hmm. And then Grandpa went through what, 8th grade?
Grandpa went, I think, to his sophomore year.
Okay.
And then his father had cancer. And the boys were needed at home.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to stay home and take care of the farm and the farming until he passed away.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the next questions is where were you when you were born and raised?
Where was I born and raised? I was born and raised about 8 miles southwest of Anston, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
in a typical dugout. It was dug back in the bank, and that's where we stayed. I can still see the rock porch that we made so the rain wouldn't wash the dirt away from our foundation. And my brother and I were both, I think my brother was born there. In 28, my dad built a new home, but my sister and I was born in that dugout.
And then you were raised in Hanson then?
Yes, we grew up.
And then when did you move to Burdett?
Oh, that was in 1934. But before that, when we lived in Hanston, we had a grade school out in the country called Countryside. I think we had about 12, 13 students out there, all in the same room.
And all
It was
different,
nice.
all different grades?
All different grades, yes. And there was a feud going on between that. Two of the families had feuds going
Uh-oh.
because they couldn't decide who was supposed to take care of the roads.
Oh, really?
And those boys really fought.
The roads that took you to school?
But
The roads that took you to school? The roads to and from school, or just?
yeah, the roads down along by the school was a good road, and you had to keep it graded.
Uh-huh.
We just walked on kind of cow paths
Yeah.
to school.
Tell about how you wanted to play basketball so bad you walked home from.
Oh, I'm getting way ahead of myself there, Tammy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's see, after I left grade school, my dad, our crops was getting to where they were diminishing. We needed more rain. And we could see that it was getting drier out. Well, my oldest sister came home to have her baby, and she passed away, and that didn't help matters any. We were pretty, we didn't have much money anyhow. So in 28 was when the dust storms really, I think, started taking hold. There was a lot of little dirt devils flying around, and they were strong if you got into them. Okay, that is about the time that the dirt storms started coming in.
How old were you when they started?
I must have been about 12, 13.
And you guys were living in Burdett or Hanston?
After we lost our farm, we moved to Burdett,
Okay.
to a little ramshackled place down there where we could get in out of the shelter. And these dirt storms were getting worse. And that is where I started to high school in Burdett when I was 14.
Yeah.
Okay,
It asks also what your main activity then was. Well,
on the farm,
just trying to stay alive, huh?
yes, we were trying to stay alive and find something good to eat.
Yeah.
And when the dirt storms come, my mother was always a gardener, and she always raised a big garden so we could have canned food through the winter. And that ramshackled hut that we moved in there was no, you could see through the walls practically. It was just that thin.
So how'd you keep the
And
dirt
when the
out?
dirt storm started, we'd have to get up in the morning and dust out the windowsills and dust everything off before we could cook. Sometimes we'd rinse our pots and pans out before we could cook our oatmeal.
How'd you keep it out of your lungs?
And sometimes when
How'd you keep it out of your lungs? Out of your,
how did we keep it out of our face?
yeah, your,
We didn't. You just breathed it. You just breathed it
Sometimes
in.
you use the cloths, but
wet
But when
sheets.
my brother got pneumonia, dust pneumonia, then she had to keep him covered up with sheets. And it seems like I'm leaving something out about the dirt storms.
When you went outside, they just came over the
Yeah,
hill.
one Sunday afternoon, it was in April, I'll never forget what day, but we were making ice cream in the basement, and when we had a lantern down there to see how, you know, when ice cream was done. And when we came up out of that basement, it was dark. We thought the end of the world had come. We looked and we seen that cloud rolling in, those huge dirt storms, red and black clouds. We thought Armageddon was here for sure. And finally that kind of all settled. It has a lot of electricity with it when that dirt gets to rolling. You have electric. And then it kind of rains a little bit, and it rained dirt pebbles. It wasn't snow pebbles, it was dirt. And then it would kind of clear back and wait for the next time. Then maybe in a day or two, here it'd be back again. I know when I was playing basketball and we had games at night, a lot of times we had to quit through the games to take care of the dirt before they'd let us back out on the court to play. So that's kind of the way it went for
For
quite a long while.
how many years?
What?
How many years did it
Yes, I was
last?
wondering how many years that was. Oh, well then, after that, there was a Jackrabbit Drive.
What's that?
Am I getting ahead of things, Tammy?
No, that's a question. It says describe the Jackrabbit Drive.
Yeah, the Jackrabbit Drive. The jackrabbits came in after the dirt storm because there was no vegetation much. And they started digging our roots right out of the ground. And there were so many of them, and the farmers couldn't take that because they needed that. They needed their seeds in the ground to grow what they could. And so the farmers decided to have a Jackrabbit Drive. So there was about 12 or 15 of them. The farmers all together went and built a circular fence, a circular fence, and left one end open so that they could drive the jackrabbits in. And it wasn't over 1.5 miles from our house that they did that. And you couldn't believe the jackrabbits that they got. They filled that, closed the gate, and went in with baseball bats and killed those poor rabbits. They whacked them to death. And to this day, honest to God, I can still hear those poor rabbits. I can still hear the cries of those rabbits. Something that will never, never leave. Poor animals. But they got rid of them. Now today we hardly have any jackrabbits. But they do eat. And those were big rabbits. But a lot of times,
Eat your crops.
huh?
They eat your crops. No. Eat your crops.
Yes, they ate our crops in our garden. And
They do eat them.
They ate some of the
and
jackrabbits.
Vince's folks used to kill those rabbits and
Eat them.
grind them up and put them with some sausage and make hamburgers out of them, because rabbit meat is very lean, it's very dry.
Tough.
And we did that a lot of times too. We'd bring some rabbits home with us. And then there were some rabbits that had diseases. They'd have this blister on them. And those you'd have to throw out. So there was just an awful lot of things that we had to do, even if we didn't want to.
Yeah.
But to stay alive, that's the way you lived.
Yeah.
You'd see them start raising from the ground and raise up, and they'd raise up nearly like a cyclone. And if they come by and caught you, they were pretty strong. They could kind of turn you around.
Little dirt devils she's talking about.
But that was just, if you've ever seen that book, Grapes of Wrath, that was sure a lot of it. But we didn't move out, we stayed there. We had to stay because we had no money to move out on.
Yeah. that's one of the questions. It says, what financial hardships did you notice about this time? You had lost your house before the Dirty 30s came along, didn't you?
Just before.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we moved down to Burdett, it was when I was going to be a freshman
Uh-huh.
to the Burdett High School. I think I was going to be around 14, somewhere in there, 13 or 14. And that is when it really hit us. And there was just no money. But we didn't feel bad because nobody had any money.
Yeah. And nobody could get any loans, you had said earlier.
No, nobody could say, well, I'm richer than you are.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you do? Were you able to have a garden?
Well, yes, my mother seen that we had a garden, and my dad helped too. Even us kids went out, and if she seen it, it was so funny, we always teased Mom. If she seen a cottontail in her garden, she'd go get the gun. And you know what? She'd shoot that rabbit. And she'd shoot that rabbit right in the eye.
Oh.
That is what was so funny. She's done that a couple of times. But if any rabbits or anything got in her garden, she'd just go get the gun.
Pretty good shot.
No kidding. She was a good
She
shot.
was a pioneer woman, I'll tell you.
Ah. How funny. I would have never thought.
I still remember her taking me to town to buy groceries with the horse and buggy. And she would get out and have to open these fences to get through for a shortcut. And go get our groceries and get home before dark. And there I was, always sitting with my face covered up because I had a cough.
So you didn't have any new responsibilities when the dust storm hit, did you?
Not really.
You were.
I was trying.
You sat with your cloth over your face, huh?
Yeah, that was my responsibility.
Oh,
See that our
funny.
basketball team won.
Yeah. Did your brothers and sisters have new responsibilities?
Well, my brother was younger than I was. We just helped around the farm
Mm-hmm.
and or the place where we lived. And my older sister, I think she went and got a job with one of my aunts, and she lived there. And sometimes she'd have to buy me a little bit of material so Mother could make me a new school dress.
Yeah. Didn't you have dresses made out of flour sacks?
Oh, yeah, pants, especially underwear.
Flour sacks.
We had
Ooh, burlap sacks?
rubber around both legs,
Muslin.
around the middle. Boy, we didn't want nothing showing.
It's a little different than these
I still
days.
got some of them flour sacks, Tammy.
Oh my gosh. But the burlap ones?
No.
Like oh, those are potato sacks.
Muslin.
These were floured ones.
Ah, okay.
They made some dresses out of it. Pretty nice dresses.
Aha. Well, it says also describe changes in lives when the dust storm started. Changes in all of your lives when the dust storm started, were there?
Oh, yes. It really pulled the family closer together.
Yeah.
We had to be together, and we had to work together, or we wouldn't have made it. My dad and mother needed us kids at home because through her putting out a garden and tending to it, and my dad, they got what was that?
Oh, when
Overheated.
they had the sunstroke.
Yeah, they both had a sunstroke at the same time and were put to bed. And they were in bed about, good 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
So that left it kind of up to us kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we were all pulling together.
Mm-hmm. What was the most memorable experience during those times?
That was that Sunday dirt storm.
Yeah?
That, you just don't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
That
When you
and-
were making the ice cream?
Yes, that and the rabbit drive, both.
Mm-hmm.
There was two of them.
It talks about what were parties like during this time. Did you go to parties? Or any other social
Well,
activity?
When we moved to Burdett, there were 6 Smith brothers.
Uh-huh.
My dad was one of 6 Smith brothers, and we always kidded him about the cough drops. Smith brother cough drops.
Oh, yeah.
But anyhow, they sometimes they would have parties. They were a little better off than my family was.
During the dust storm.
But as far as helping my dad out, I didn't see that they ever done too much to help my dad out.
Yeah. Huh. What other social activities were you involved in? You talked about basketball. Did you do anything else?
Well, music.
Music?
Music was a favorite, and we took a lot of that music to different schools like they still do now.
Yeah. Did you sing or play piano or?
No, we sang.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
We had to sing.
Ask her if she went to the movie.
Did you guys go to the movies at all?
That was like-
Probably not then.
When I was in Burdette, I started, in my senior year, I met Vince, my husband now,
Yeah.
then. And he and Raymond, they were helping my uncle put down wells, irrigation wells. And they had to crawl down in the well,
Mm-hmm.
down to the water. And they made 50 cents a day. So sometimes we'd get to go to the movie at Jetmore. The movie would cost us 25 cents. The popcorn and different things cost a nickel. And if we didn't have supper before we went, we didn't get no supper. We ate popcorn and stuff, which
Yeah.
didn't hurt us. But the boys always said after they took us girls home, they always went and got them a hamburger.
Cheapskates. Oh, funny.
And at one time, they got stuck in the dirt. You know, like you get stuck in the snowstorm? Well, they got stuck in the dirt storm.
Oh my gosh.
They had to shovel their way out of the dirt.
Well, it serves them right for all them hamburgers you missed out on.
Yeah, right.
Hey, didn't you also used to ride the car down the railroad tracks?
Oh, down the railroad track?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd always have to get that Model T Ford somewhere where we could push it to
Uh-huh.
get it started, because it wouldn't start on its own battery.
Huh.
Oh, those were the days,
Drive it
I'll
on the
tell you.
railroad tracks.
My goodness, we'd all pile in that car and have a heck of a time.
What do you think the Dirty 30s played on your health?
Oh, I'm sure it affected us. It affected some more than others. I didn't notice it on myself at that time because I was always a croupy kid anyhow.
Asthma.
But my brother, it affected his lungs.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister, she had a appendicitis surgery.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost my sister, oldest sister, to childbirth.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, just a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Describe a person you most remember during this time.
Yeah, and that's,
Probably hard to narrow it down.
Teacher?
yes,
Coach?
it is. I think I would have to say my mother and father,
Yeah.
because they're the ones that took us through that.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones.
Do you have any worthwhile experiences during this time? I guess they must think it was just total chaos and you didn't have any fun.
Oh no, we had fun too. You can't take the fun away from kids.
Yeah.
We had our Christmas parties and I don't know, even if we had to go in the horse and wagon because we had no fuel. And if it was in the winter time, we would heat some bricks and put them in the wagon and put our feet on the bricks until we would get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, that's just the way it was. We had our fun.
Well, like you said, a lot of times the hard times bring people closer together.
Oh, yes.
Friends or family or whoever.
Yes.
Yeah. What kind of news did you have during this time? Newspapers, radio, TV, what'd you have?
Seemed like we had radio, and I'm sure we had newspapers. I think the folks always took the Cappers Weekly,
Mm-hmm.
and I have one picture of the Cappers Weekly building way back when. I'd like to know what it's worth today.
Mm-hmm. What's the Cappers building?
Hmm?
What is that?
Cappers Weekly.
The
Cappers.
At Topeka,
Oh, the Capitol.
at the Capitol at Topeka.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
our president, President Roosevelt started a program to help poor people out of building bridges and different road works to help these poor people make some money. My dad would get up in the morning and maybe drive his horses 8 miles to work on the road
Mm-hmm.
and come home after dark. But you made more money with the horses than if you just took yourself. Think what a tax that would be on him, and he was getting up there in age too.
Mm-hmm.
He did everything he could do to
Because your mom
get
was
us
a
through
lot,
that.
mom was a lot younger than your dad.
Yes, he
So
did
she
everything he
probably,
could think of to do.
she probably helped him quite a bit, just being a lot younger.
Who?
Your mom.
Oh yeah, Mom was a regular. I say she's a prairie woman. She was a strong person,
Mm-hmm.
and she did help him.
Mm-hmm.
Because she had 2 stepchildren who was nearly as old as she was.
Hmm.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah. That's a whole different tape. That's a whole different tape, I think. Have you watched or read anything about this time, about the Dirty 30s? And then if you did you think what you were reading about the time was correct when it was reported?
Most of it was correct.
Yeah.
There's always somebody that will add to, to make it more interesting. But a lot of it was plain and it was real. Even the postcards they put out with these big jackrabbits and these your fence rows filled with dirt clear to the top so the cattle could just walk right over them.
Mm-hmm.
If there was any cattle.
Mm-hmm.
But the radio gave the good reports that it could.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. What kind of food did you have to eat during this time? You talked about the rabbits and stuff, but that was just if you wanted to.
I can remember Mother's biscuits and fried potatoes and cream gravy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we had that for supper, night after night.
Mm-hmm.
But it filled our stomachs. A lot of times we didn't have the meat other people did. My people were not out to get a lot of meat. Now, my husband's folks, they always usually had meat on the table. But we didn't. We had potatoes and gravy and biscuits. My mother would make big loaves of bread, 3 big loaves of bread about on a Monday and on a Thursday, and she'd make those loaves out into a big roaster, like we bake our turkey. And those loaves, then she'd put the lid on them, and that would raise up, and she'd cook that in the oven, and boy, that bread was out of this world.
Mm-hmm.
That it was.
We couldn't wait to get home to have some good old bread and milk.
Mhm.
And I drank milk at that time,
Did
whether
you
I
have
liked
to-
it or not.
Did you have to walk back and forth to school?
Oh, yeah.
How far was it?
I'd say it was about 2 miles. Yeah. We really never thought anything about it, except my little brother. He was supposed to start to school to go with us girls. He wasn't going to go to school, no sir. My mother'd have to chase him about halfway there before he'd decide he'd better go. That was so funny.
Didn't you say you had to wear some of your shoes? Hand me
What?
down? Didn't you have to wear some girls' shoes?
He didn't, but our neighbor kids did. Fred didn't have to.
Did you always have shoes that didn't have holes, or?
Oh, no, we had holes in our shoes, and we'd put cardboard under there.
Oh, God.
And we wore them big old black socks and underwear.
Well, I bet they were pretty.
Oh, boy. We didn't take them underwear off every night either to take a bath.
You got your exercise,
Yeah,
a lot more than we do.
well, we had plenty of exercise.
No kidding. You, Grandma, you had said that you had to wash the dishes out before you made a meal and stuff, but that's one of the things that it asks is, what were your experiences eating a meal and preparing it with the dirt and all of that?
Well,
Can you expand on that a little bit?
the thing of it is, you knew the dirt was there.
You just ate it anyway.
Eat it.
And you just got so you just went ahead and cooked.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't as big as a lump to choke you to death, you ate it. No, that isn't right. That's just what I said. I never thought much about the dirt. I guess we just decided it was there, and that was part of
A
it.
little extra protein or something.
Yeah,
Where did you get the water
we
from?
had a well.
You had a well.
We had a water well. We had good water.
What about people that didn't have a well? What did they do?
Well, then they would have to haul their water. They would have something like, called a cistern. Cistern, S-C, I don't know how to spell it.
CIS.
But it had water down in it. And they would go bucket it out of there and take it up to the home. So we had good water.
Yeah, there's always something to be thankful for.
Yes.
You can always be worse off, I guess.
Oh, yeah. You had a lot of things to be thankful for.
Mm-hmm. Then I guess the last thing is just if there's anything else that you would like to tell us about your experience during this time.
Oh, if I could just, I have some dear thoughts about it, and I have went through it in my mind, and there's a lot of things that I've left out, and probably a lot of things that I've added to. It was all in growing up, and I think it was good for us. I've always wanted security. I'm terrible about security, because we didn't have any security then.
Mm-hmm.
So after I was grown and married, and I got the restaurant business, and I was making money, I always thought of my security. Put so much back, keep so much, put so much back for your other years. And it's a good thing I did that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just in case. Just in case, too.
Oh, yes.
You know,
Yes.
if there was.
Security meant everything to me, and it still does.
Like the economy during the world wars, was it bad through that time too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And I can't think of much else to say right
What
now.
was it about?
No, we
I
can
am full of thoughts, but
pause.